I want to clarify something right off the start because I've already heard some rumors and some gossip. This was not a race thing, and this is not a political thing. Please do not comment if you do not know what happened. Do not turn this into a racial thing. It was not. Do not politicize this. It's not. This is a human being thing. This person made a bad choice, and it affected both his family and my family forever. It's a very unfortunate thing, but I know exactly what was happening. His brother was there who tried to save him, and he died in his arms. So if you weren't there, please don't spread rumors.
This country is wrong. Why can't you stand that and say with that? Maybe you can. Would you be willing to stand by me in a press conference or in an individual interview and talk about this issue that is larger than Austin at this point? God rest the beautiful young man's soul that would have been one of our strongest voices if he was still alive today. Yes, I am, sir.
You're trying to create more race divide than bridging the gap. I do not condone anything you do. You do not have any line.
That's called white guilt.
No, let it go.
You're creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness, sir. You are creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness.
You are being weak. I gotta be honest with you about that, sir.
You're being weak. Condemn your son's killer and the culture that caused it.
Hey, Jim.
That's the problem. Jim, submitted.
Hold on, Jim.
You've been submitted.
I'll handle it from here.
You've been submitted, sir.
You're not gonna make we can't even assemble to have a memorial or to have a protest without the coming out and disrupting and calling us names. Just because they're showing up for a kid who was killed. That says everything. And that is why we're going to continue doing this day after day. I've seen again and again and again that white people are truly the victim. I see it online. I see it in person. I've seen it throughout the years of my life. That's why it's so important that we all push the message that Austin Metcalf needs justice. The bail needs to be revoked for Carmelo Anthony. Revoke his bail. Put him back in jail. You cannot murder someone, then immediately be back out on the street. That is not okay. If he goes out and kills another person, it'll be because of those idiotic Democrats that let him out of jail. If he stabs another person, it'll be simply because they want to let him out of jail and lower his bond just because he's a black Democrat, a black young man.
In Puerto Rican, Spanish, whatever you are, recognize injustice and don't be a coward to call it out. Today, tens of thousands should have been here. We have a great crowd. But
they're in
fear.
Their cars, though. They're in their cars right there. They're afraid. They're afraid. Tell them to say it out loud.
But there is a spirit of fear that is not of God. There is a spirit of fear that is not of God that has pervaded our culture. We are fearful to walk on the streets. We're fearful to assemble.
Yeah, they're literally right there.
Do you think it's right for Carmelo Anthony to sit in his home comfortable for the next 4 years?
I don't believe in brand boycott.
How can you stand with such an injustice? Lock him up today. This is justice. If we don't set this standard,
Yep. So again, if it goes green.
if we don't stand against this standard of injustice, we will engender more violence against whites by blacks by not producing justice today. Justice delayed is justice denied.
That's wrong.
So I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I think it's kind of sad, honestly. So the entire time that Jake was speaking, cars kept going by, and they're waving to us. They're saying, we support you.
That's not happening.
I counted at least like
He's
20
lying.
of them. And it's like,
20 cars.
What are you so afraid of? Why don't you just come and hang out with us? Why are you staying in your cars?
Like,
The truth
normal
is they're
people
afraid
think that
because
this is
they're
just a
white.
Trump thing. They don't
They're
think this is like a
afraid
white thing.
Because they're white.
Like anybody driving
so
by.
once again, when you say, oh, this whole thing about there being racism and violence against white people, that isn't true. If it's not true, then why are these guys driving? Look, they're driving by right there. They won't come over here because they're afraid, because they're white. More white people over there in their cars. They're afraid to come out and stop with people and stand here because they're white. So once again, I want to push the point really strongly that white people truly are the main victim of racism in America today. I mean,
so
seriously,
that's Philip Anderson, and
back in the day,
he used to say he was going to kill himself if Biden won. Like, he tweet that all the time. It's very sad.
And they get arrested, they lose their job, bad things will happen to them. And now what's happening to the white
guy
people?
in the Doge hat's
They're
very
afraid to
interesting
come
to me.
out because they're afraid that they will lose their job. They're afraid that they will be experiencing violence or the victim of violence. They're afraid that they will be banished from their community. So that's why we have to do this.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
So I'm a little bit confused here. At what point in time in history have white people been oppressed, been victims? Because last time I checked, historically speaking, this country has always been what? White. It's still to this day a white majority. It's still white controlled, white finances, white education, everything. So I'm just trying to figure out at what point in time in history, factually, historically speaking, have whites historically just, in insurmountable numbers been victims in their own homes? I'm a little bit confused because the way that they're trying to make it seem from the way that they're speaking is if white people are just afraid to go outside. I've never seen that. If I happen to go outside, guess what? I'm just going to see some white people going to and from, driving in their cars. As they're passing by, maybe they might stop by a gas station. If you go a little bit further out, you'll see white people hustling and bustling, going to and from, working home, going to their jobs, going to pick up their kids, going to the grocery store, going to the gas stations, out there doing the lawn, out there jogging, out there biking, out there just doing whatever it is that white people normally do. But yet, to hear both of them speak, and then I'm questioning who the melanated guy is, because he don't look like he's from here. He looked like he is adopted from a whole nother country. And it just so happens that by proxy, they're going to just consider him to be a black man in America. Again, I don't know who that man is. 100%. I need to know exactly who his people directly are, because he's looking a little bit odd, a little bit weird at this moment in time. And the other guy speaking, again, it makes incredibly no type of sense. And for the most part, that Metcalf's father has come out and stated before any of this took place, or maybe he might have caught wind of it earlier on. He specifically told people in the media about a week ago. He was like, yo, this is not an instance that has to do with race. So for those out there, stop making this about race. Stop trying to push whatever racist narrative that you have in order to make it seem like you actually care about the well-being of the family, the life of Metcalf, and how it is that the family feels and how it is that they are represented. Stop trying to use the life, the death of his son in order to push a further divide of racism. That's clearly what he stated, but what are we watching? What are we witnessing the start of at this moment in time? Who are the main individuals and the people who are online and these are people that say that, oh, we got jobs, we're busy, we have money, we have this, we have that. But I tend to see a lot of white people online every single day, beyond 12 hours, that are consistently tweeting, going through these threads and talking about, oh, white lives matter, all lives matter, white people are victims in America, and this, that, and the third. I'm like, y'all really having conversations for like hours throughout the day. I'm like, don't y'all got kids? Don't y'all got families? Don't y'all got like some companies or whatever that y'all supposed to be running, right? Y'all the ones that made America great and keeping America great at this moment in time. Aren't y'all supposed to be worrying about more important things? Because as I've stated before, I've given you stories specifically dealing with the loss of life of other white children and others. And I specifically showed the fact that, as one of the guys wanted to state, he was like, I don't care what color you are, you should stand up for a loss of life and all this other. But when I highlight these stories, when I do these live streams and I know that I have a surge of white folks sitting directly in the background, listening to my voice, hearing every single thing that I'm talking about, I hear silence and it's deafening. When I talk about the loss of white children directly out here, when I talk about the loss of a father who lost his daughter, that happened by way of the male student that you see on the screen. He decided that he wanted to, take her life because she rejected him. And that father forgave the killer. And that father still had to grieve. He still had to bury his daughter that he can no longer see. I didn't see fields of white folks directly out here, enraged, entrenched in deep emotion, seething and wanting to make sure that some type of justice was going to happen. This, that, and the third. They didn't want to polarize that young girl's life. They didn't want to uphold that. They didn't want to make sure that things like this will stop directly in their community from the little boys that they are currently raising at this moment in time, because this white life was, in a sense, snuffed out so early just over a simple rejection. Because you have the boy directly over there feeling that he's in his emotions. He feels as though that, if she rejects me, then can't nobody have her. So if I can't have her, nobody can, not even the father, not even family, not even the future. So I'm going to take her up now. But do you hear white people online talking about this, wanting to highlight this, or any of the other stories that you see directly in front of you? The answer is no. The only reason that you hear white people talking about this is because they can put a color directly to it. Any of the stories that you see directly in front of you have nothing to do with black people, black men, or any of those things. Even from the tweet of one of the guys will fully put into perspective what it is that I'm referring to. So one of the ringleaders of this fiasco stated this. I'm not going to mince my words. White weakness and submission is why Austin died. Jeff McCaff is the problem. Austin McCaff's father is more outraged at me for standing up against the violent, abusive black culture that took the life of his son. Then he is at the actual degenerate murderer and family that is dancing on Austin's grave. Next up, he'll hand over his daughter to be expletive, that had to be edited out, in front of the world by the same monsters that took the life of his son. Stand for something or fall for anything. That's some crazy work right there. For at one point, you're saying that you're standing up for the family, for the father. You're standing up for whites all around America, probably even the world, right? Because these ne'er-do-wells, these criminals, these villains are just out here doing whatever it is that they want to sit up there and do. Then you want to sit up there and state that Carmelo Anthony's family is dancing on Austin. Where are they dancing on anybody's grave? We clearly saw them at a press conference. We clearly saw Carmelo Anthony get released. We clearly see the family speaking out. Like, I'm a little bit confused on where is it that the dancing of the grave is specifically happening. Again, people are trying to use certain types of words in order to trigger, in order to enlist some type of support for these radical ideologies that they want to spread directly out there. Then he wanted to sit up there and state that the black culture, right? Just generalizing black people. I'm sorry, more specifically, black men, saying that pretty much all black men, young black boys, and even the ones unborn, they are nothing but violent, abusive criminals. And then went to the furthest fact of bringing McCaff's daughter directly into this. I didn't even know he had a daughter, but bringing the daughter directly in here and stating that the same monsters, aka black men, all over, just generalizing all black men, are going to do something very nefarious, do something very obscene to his daughter. He's just going to freely just hand her over. That is some crazy work. And as I stated before, this is the type of dangerous ideologies. Somebody once stated before that the most dangerous place for a black person to be is in the imagination of a white person. And this is clear cut the example of that. Notice how he's trying to stoke a type of fear, right? Along with lighting the flames of racism and racist rhetoric directly out there. Notice how he's trying to divide by saying that, hey, we whites directly out here, we're the good ones. We're the honest ones. We're the innocents directly out here. Anybody that is not us, aka black people, obviously they're on the other side. They like to do certain types of things. They commit certain types of acts that we would never sit up there and do. We are not the crime. We are not the violence. We are not the drugs. We are not anything negative in America. We're trying to uphold God in America while the blacks are doing everything else. And this is what white people are signing up for. This is how you guys decide that you want to sit up here and protest and how it is that you want to talk. And these are the same types of people that show directly up to my platform during my live streams. And they want to start using racial slurs directly to me live in 4K. And at the same time, why are you guys always talking about race? Why are you guys, always so emotional about a word? It's just a word. It's just a word. It's just a word. I mean, I guess it's just a word, but you guys were really offended by words such as affirmative actions, reparations, DEI, all of those, good things directly. Y'all were so triggered by those things. Woke, right? Y'all were so triggered. BLM, real triggered by all of those words. Black excellence, black power, right? You're triggered by all. Those are just words, and they're not even really aimed at you at all. They're not really aimed at you at all. But yet, somehow, some way you wanted to encompass and act like all of these words are just encircling and they're trying to siphon your energy, making you weak, turning you into a victim, not allowing you to be proud and white as you normally once were in the United States. Crazy work. It's diabolical in nature. And it's funny to see this protest and then you also see the police there protecting them. But yet you say that you don't have protection in America. You say that you're fearful of being white, but you literally got the military to back you up. You got privatized types of military out here to back you up. You also got the police to back you up. That's some crazy work, but you have no protection. You also just to make this very clear, out of everybody that is here in the United States, white people own the most guns. That is bar none. That is just facts. That is not up for debate. And it's crazy to me to know that. And then you have white people up here acting as though that they're just unprotected, that they're just weaklings directly out here, that they just can't do anything. You literally have rights directly out here. Black people used to be, at one point in time, black people used to be able to just, practice their rights to bear arms and, go out there and protest. But the moment of time that black people did that and we showed up in certain places, this is when white people wanted to make certain laws, rules, and regulations. And they were like, yeah, you can't do that anymore. Once black people start doing a lot of things, the same things that white people normally naturally do, we got to put a stop to it. We can't allow everybody to sit up there and do that. Wow. So it's not a threat if white people show up and protest with their weapons and their guns that they're legally able to carry and have. But it's problematic when black people do it and they're legally able to carry. They've trained, they're certified and everything like that. It's always a problem. Matter of fact, somebody actually did a video where they showcased a white guy open carrying, walking down the street. And then they showcased a black guy open carrying, walking down the street. Guess who was the one that was seen as problematic and that 911 got the utmost calls for? I bet you it was not option one. I bet you it was not option one. But yet these are the same people that say that they don't see color. But you magically see it when you start seeing a gun. You magically see it when that person is in your neighborhood. You magically see it when that person is walking down the street, just minding their business. You magically see it when they're going to a nice car that you know yourself couldn't afford. So you're like, how did they get that? Ha, no problem. You're black. You sat up there and stole it. That's not your car. I'm calling 911. That's some crazy work. Diabolical, as a matter of fact. Diabolical. And last but not least, we have this image from this idiot. He said, I just broke into the stadium. I don't want to mispronounce it. Just broke into the stadium and got the first ever footage of Austin McCaff's bloodstain on the stadium floor still. His blood cries out for justice. Lock up Carmelo Anthony. Now, that's crazy. That is 100% crazy, despicable, and disgusting to do something like that. And this is what I'm talking about. You got these fringe types directly out there. You got these far-right individuals, whatever you want to sit up there and call them. These are the same people that voted for Trump, same people that are conservative, same people that are Republican, of which these people say that, oh, we don't see color, we don't see that, we don't see that. But yet, this is how you're acting. This is the type of thing that you're doing. Like this is, like I said, this is weird type of behavior. And you don't see white people calling this out. And the main thing that I told people before, that if you decide as a white person to see stuff like this, to see this type of rhetoric, and you sit there in silence, you are an accomplice to everything that is being said and done at this moment in time. Just because you stand still doesn't mean that you're not helping this. You are, because you're not hindering it. You're not stopping it from happening. Realistically, the only person that is stopping this from happening, or trying to, twice, is McCaff's father. And I'm not even trying to give credit to nothing at all, but I have to sit up there and be honest. He's the only white person that I've heard literally telling people, don't do this. He said it nationally to everybody on TV so that you will hear it by way of mainstream media, white folks. And then at the protest from the video that I showed you, he was literally on the phone with the guy telling him, yo, don't do this. Don't sit up there and try to speak for my family like this. And then the guy wanted to argue with the father, a grieving father that just sat up there and lost his son. Think the type of gall that you have to argue with a parent who just lost their child, telling you, don't speak on my son like that. Don't speak on my family like that. Do not say that you're representing us. And you want to argue with him? You want to get online and you want to sit up there and call him weak? Wow. So much for actually caring about white lives. So much for caring about the white family structure. So much for actually caring about Austin and his family. Because realistically, all I'm seeing is selfishness and personal gain. Somebody that is trying to get somewhere by using somebody else's situation, trying to get fame, money, and celebrity and notoriety off of the death of somebody else. That's some crazy work. And out here, you still have him and many others that want to say that black people are the problem. But yet, I can point a multitude of stories where white people, white kids have lost their lives and everything else. And it has zero to do with black people, but you will hear deafening silence from everybody that is Republican and conservative simply off of the fact that they can't use race-baiting rhetoric in order to garner any type of attention of which they would normally try to do. And they know that 9 times out of 10, white people are going to ignore and don't care if things like that are happening in their own communities and amongst other families, unless it's hitting their doorstep first. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about this video and everything that I stated in the comment description below. And as always, peace, love, and stay tuned for the next video.